Water rights laws regarding the Colorado River are as complicated as they are old. In fact, the Colorado River Compact that divides the river into these two basins was signed into law in 1922.
Once the river leaves Glen Canyon and makes its way through Lee's Ferry, it begins to wind its way through the 217-mile-long Grand Canyon.
The Colorado River, a vital artery of the American West, flowing through deserts and canyons, sustaining over 40 million lives and sculpting the legendary Grand Canyon. But what if this mighty river, long seen as a symbol of life and stability, is hiding something shocking beneath its bedrock? Something that could rewrite the geological history of North America? In a groundbreaking discovery, scientists have unveiled a hidden world below the riverbed, using high-tech tools like satellite radar, ground-penetrating sonar, and magnetic field mapping. What they found? Not just ancient sediment or shifting tectonics, but an entire collapsed water system, deep fractures in the earth, and a baffling anomaly that has experts baffled. Could it be an untapped freshwater reservoir? A dormant fault waiting to awaken? Or the last trace of an ancient geological civilization? This isn't just about rocks and rivers. It's about a potential game-changer for the entire Southwest. Are we on the verge of a seismic revelation that could threaten or save millions of lives? Stick around, because what lies beneath the Colorado River might just change everything you thought you knew about the land it carved and the future it holds. The Colorado River, lifeline of the West. Often called the lifeline of the American West, the Colorado River is far more than a flowing body of water. It stretches over 1,400 miles, winding through 7 U.S. states and even reaching into Mexico. Beginning as snow in the Rocky Mountains, its journey takes it through arid lands, fueling agriculture, supplying cities, and shaping landscapes like the iconic canyons. But with the region facing the harshest dry spell in over a millennium, experts are starting to question what really lies beneath the surface of this mighty river.
2003 is shaping up to be another year of drought, hydrologically speaking. And by hydrological, I mean the water in our streams and in our reservoirs.
In recent years, climate researchers have used hydrological models to simulate how droughts, urbanization, and reservoir management could collectively impact river behavior, not just on the surface, but below it. Is there more happening underground than we thought? Could unknown water channels or hidden rock layers be influencing how the river flows and where water disappears? Uncovering the launching project Bedrock. In early 2025, a group of universities and national organizations came together to launch Project Bedrock, an ambitious study aiming to uncover what's happening deep below the riverbed. Their mission: to learn more about the layers of soil, cracks in the earth, and underground water pockets that might be contributing to water loss, or even triggering subtle seismic activity. Researchers collaborated with indigenous scientists, geophysicists, and environmental engineers to integrate traditional knowledge with cutting-edge geospatial technology, resulting in one of the most detailed subsurface studies ever conducted in the U.S. river systems. The results stunned even the researchers. By using a mix of satellite radar imaging, surface-based laser scanning, and deep core drilling, scientists pieced together a full 3D view of what's happening beneath the Colorado River. What they discovered could change how we understand the river's behavior and how we plan for the future of water in the West. Tunnels and chambers below. This discovery wasn't just about the surface terrain. Scientists began noticing slight movements deep underground. What truly caught them off guard wasn't just an empty space or a basic fracture, but a vast tunnel-like network running beneath the riverbed, stretching for miles. Though it appeared to have formed naturally, it resembled a buried highway. Even more baffling, parts of the ground had caved in long ago, forming enormous hollow chambers that could easily fit entire buildings. Geologists suggest these tunnels may have once served as conduits for underground rivers that redirected water flow in prehistoric times, possibly accounting for the unusual sediment deposits and eroded structures observed along the modern riverbanks. To add to the mystery, the material they found wasn't common rock. It included volcanic debris and deep earth minerals, usually found far below the surface. This points to possible ancient eruptions or rising molten activity that had never been recorded in this area. Could this mean the Colorado River is flowing above a silent geothermal zone or sitting atop a hidden seismic fault? Ancient water locked away. Among the most surprising revelations was the identification of a sealed underground water body. This ancient reserve, wedged between tough rock layers, may have been untouched for over 15,000 years, dating back to when glaciers still covered parts of the Earth. It might even explain strange shifts in river flow through history, unrelated to rainfall or dam usage. Chemical analysis of water samples indicates unique isotopic signatures not present in today's atmosphere, offering insights into Earth's past climate and helping hydrologists trace ancient precipitation cycles. But this deep water source isn't easy to reach. It lies more than 1,200 feet below ground, locked within mineral-packed shale. Reaching it would involve deep drilling or advanced extraction methods, both of which come with serious environmental concerns. Still, this discovery sparks big questions. How many more hidden water reservoirs lie below? Could they help during extreme droughts? And how did we miss them for so long? A hidden threat beneath the river. One of the most concerning findings was the discovery of a previously unknown fault line running quietly alongside the Colorado River, buried deep underground. For years, this area was thought to be stable and inactive. But new satellite data has revealed tiny earthquakes and rising pressure beneath the surface, hinting that this fault might be stirring after a long rest. Scientists have started calling it the Colorado Rift. What makes this even more worrying,
those who have seen the Hoover Dam face to face would describe it as one of the most unbelievable dams in the world,
is how close it is to important places like the Hoover Dam and key water systems in Las Vegas. This discovery has led to updated seismic hazard maps and renewed discussions about the need for retrofitting older infrastructure to withstand a broader range of geological scenarios. While it's not as massive as famous faults like San Andreas, this raises an important question. Have we overlooked the earthquake risks in this region? Could the drying up of the river, caused by heavy water use and climate shifts, be easing the stress on the Earth's crust and allowing faults to move? If that's true, the challenges facing the Colorado River might go beyond water shortages and include risks from shifting tectonic plates. A desert that was once wet. Digging into the rocks around this new fault, scientists uncovered something surprising: fossils of freshwater shells, plants, and algae buried deep in layers long believed to be dry desert sediment. This shows that, a very long time ago, the Colorado Plateau might have been home to a vast, thriving wetland, almost like a giant inland river delta that has since vanished. Paleoclimatologists believe this ancient wetland system might have influenced early human migration routes across North America, offering vital resources in what is now considered inhospitable terrain. Even stranger, these fossils appear to have been rapidly covered by huge amounts of sediment, possibly due to sudden floods or quick changes in the climate. This discovery paints a very different picture of the region's past and could help explain some of the mysteries beneath the surface today. Could these findings point to massive ancient floods caused by the collapse of underground tunnels like the ones recently discovered? If so, we might be seeing proof of natural disasters from long ago that dramatically reshaped the land, and these events could happen again. The phantom reservoirs. One of the lesser-known elements complicating Colorado River management is the existence of so-called phantom reservoirs. These are underground storage zones where water temporarily disappears from the system due to seepage through porous rock or unlined channels. Unlike surface reservoirs, these hidden storage pockets aren't tracked by water management models and can cause major discrepancies in water accounting. In particularly dry years, up to 10% of expected river flow has gone missing between key measuring points, a phenomenon now partly attributed to these underground voids. Recent studies using fiber optic temperature sensors and advanced dye tracing techniques have helped scientists map where water is vanishing. In stretches through parts of Utah and western Colorado, researchers found that dry riverbeds often hold water below the surface for weeks before it re-emerges downstream. While some seepage supports riparian vegetation or recharges aquifers, other portions are lost permanently to evaporation or deep percolation, complicating forecasts for reservoir storage and irrigation planning. These findings have sparked interest in modifying how certain canal systems and levees are built, encouraging the use of clay liners or even synthetic barriers to reduce underground loss. Water managers now face the challenge of deciding whether to preserve these hidden recharge zones for ecological benefits or redesign them to ensure more consistent surface flow, adding yet another layer of complexity to managing the Colorado River in an age of scarcity. Tribal warnings. When the research was shared with tribal elders from the Navajo and Hualapai communities, many were not surprised. Their stories, passed down over many generations, describe times when the river vanished beneath the ground and reappeared miles away. Some legends even mention rocks that breathe and rivers that flow backward, details that now strangely match the new discoveries. Recent partnerships have emerged between scientists and tribal colleges to digitize oral histories, linking ancient wisdom with modern data to reconstruct the historical behavior of the Colorado River more accurately. This has encouraged scientists to study indigenous maps and oral histories as more than just traditions. They might actually hold clues about past floods, landslides, and shifts that changed the river's path. In other words, the past might be sending us a warning, and it's important we pay attention. Volcanic riches, deep risks. While examining magnetic signals near Glen Canyon, researchers also found pockets of rare minerals like neodymium and dysprosium, which are crucial for technologies such as electric cars and wind turbines. This has excited geologists, but worried environmentalists. Mining these valuable minerals could boost the economy, especially with the growing need for green energy. However, extracting them would mean drilling deep beneath sensitive river areas, which risks harming the environment by releasing harmful substances and disturbing fragile sediments. The discovery has sparked proposals for mineral rights legislation specific to environmentally sensitive zones, drawing comparisons to mining debates around the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone. These mineral deposits were formed millions of years ago during ancient volcanic eruptions, long before the Colorado River carved its famous canyon. Now we face a tough decision. Should we risk disturbing one of the planet's most famous natural wonders to extract resources we urgently need? Scientists have found pockets of gas underground, like methane and hydrogen sulfide, hidden in sealed chambers beneath the lower part of the river valley. This points to ancient geothermal activity, such as underwater hot springs or geysers that might have once erupted where there is now dry desert. Thermal scans show lingering heat, suggesting these vents went quiet not too long ago in geological terms. Some experts even believe the heat could return, potentially causing the ground to rise or releasing dangerous pressure. Could the Colorado River area be sitting on a sleeping geothermal system? If yes, it might be a source of clean energy, or a hidden hazard waiting to erupt. Cracks, collapses, and life below. In southern Utah and northern Arizona, scientists have found old deep cracks in the bedrock called fissures. These ancient cracks match exactly with places where sinkholes have appeared recently in nearby communities. These fissures seem to be waking up, triggered by rapid groundwater pumping made worse by long droughts and heavy water use. Basically, the land is starting to collapse under strain. Meanwhile, the extremophiles discovered in rock samples could hold promise for biotechnology, including new antibiotics, biofuels, and even tools for carbon capture under extreme environmental conditions. These cracks might also be channels where water is leaking from the river down into deep underground layers, further reducing the river's flow and making the ground even less stable. If these patterns keep going, we could face more damage to roads, buildings, and farmland across the Southwest. But one of the most surprising discoveries wasn't about rocks or water. It was about life hidden deep underground. Scientists studying rock samples taken more than 1,000 feet below the surface found tiny microbes living in extreme conditions, high pressure, rich in minerals, and with very little oxygen. These microbes, called extremophiles, have genetic traits never seen before. They might help us understand how life began on Earth, or even suggest how life could survive on other planets like Mars or moons like Europa. This discovery could change not only geology and biology, but also the search for life beyond Earth. Dust and early melt.
In U.S. history, the government has declared a water shortage in the Colorado River. Climate change and the ongoing drought are both threatening the river's future. With less snow hitting the mountains each year, the melted runoff can't replenish the water levels.
Another important finding involves how dust affects snow melting in the Colorado River basin. Researchers at the University of Utah discovered that dust landing on snow speeds up melting by making the snow darker, so it absorbs more sunlight. This causes snow to melt 3 to 4 weeks earlier than usual, reducing the amount of water flowing into the river. Some scientists are exploring the use of reflective materials or biodegradable coverings in small test plots to shield snowpack from dust, potentially delaying melt rates in critical zones. Since millions depend on this water, early snowmelt is a big problem. It throws off the natural schedule of water flowing into reservoirs like Lake Powell and Lake Mead, both already stressed by ongoing droughts. When snow melts too soon, much of the water evaporates or gets soaked up by dry soil before it reaches the rivers, making water shortages even worse downstream. The dust comes from damaged desert areas like overgrazed lands, dirt roads, and dry spots exposed by drought and climate change. As strong winds become more common, more dust is being blown onto the snow each year. To understand this better, scientists collected snow samples, measured how much sunlight the snow reflects, and used satellite images to see how dust affects melting. This issue is urgent because water managers rely on snowpack data to predict river flow, produce hydroelectric power, and manage water for farms, cities, and nature. Dust-caused early snowmelt makes this system even less predictable and adds to the challenges of managing water in the region. To tackle this, experts suggest better land care methods to keep soil in place and cut down on dust. This includes planting vegetation strategically, limiting grazing in vulnerable areas, and controlling dust on dirt roads. Some even propose creating early warning systems that combine real-time dust tracking with snowmelt predictions. As one scientist put it, this isn't just a problem for the mountains, it's a growing crisis for the whole river basin. The rising Rockies. In related news, a recent study shows that the eastern side of the Colorado Rockies is slowly rising due to tectonic forces.
Tonight, disaster declarations already being made in Bastrop and in Fayette counties. That's because of rising water along the Colorado River.
This uplift happens as the Earth's crust shifts because of movements deep below the surface and the land's response to melting glaciers from long ago. This ongoing geological activity could have important effects on the region's landscape and stability. The uplift also affects how snow accumulates and melts, subtly shifting watershed boundaries and influencing which tributaries contribute the most to the river's flow, details that matter in interstate water agreements. This area, once thought to be geologically quiet, is now showing noticeable upward movement, with some spots rising by several millimeters each year. This slow but steady uplift is changing the shape of the upper Colorado River basin. As the land lifts, rivers cut deeper into the ground, speeding up erosion and carrying more sediment downstream. This reshapes valley sides, causes landslides, and affects how sediment and nutrients reach important water habitats. Scientists use tools like GPS, radar imaging, INSAR, and digital maps to track these changes. Interestingly, some rising areas overlap with recent small earthquakes and old fault lines, raising new worries about possible earthquakes. These changes in the land also affect water flow and groundwater recharge, which could impact man-made structures like dams, bridges, and pipelines built on older assumptions about the area's stability. Knowing more about these shifts is crucial for managing water resources as the Colorado River faces more pressure from climate change and heavy use. Experts suggest including tectonic data in models that predict sediment movement, reservoir buildup, and ecological impacts to better prepare for what's ahead. Tracking native fish. In another discovery, the U.S. Geological Survey has mapped how native fish like the humpback chub move through the Colorado River. This species was once almost wiped out by dam construction and habitat loss. By using tracking methods such as radiotelemetry, tagging, and environmental DNA, scientists have followed thousands of fish across different parts of the river, gaining valuable insights into how they survive and interact with their surroundings. Long-term datasets are now feeding into AI-powered ecological models that simulate fish responses to temperature shifts, water salinity, and invasive species, helping conservationists plan decades ahead. Throughout the year, this research has uncovered new spawning spots and temperature limits that trigger fish migrations, key details for managing the river's ecosystem while balancing human water needs. For example, the humpback chub favors spawning in certain temperature ranges and water speeds, often in canyon tributaries where warm groundwater mixes with the main river. But as climate change causes water levels to drop and temperatures to rise, these important spawning areas are shrinking and becoming too warm. Sometimes fish can't reach their preferred breeding grounds and end up in less ideal places where fewer young survive. On top of that, invasive species like smallmouth bass are moving into these warmer waters, increasing threats to native fish. To help, USGS scientists are working with the Bureau of Reclamation and Native American tribes to change dam water releases. They are testing timed water pulses that mimic natural seasonal flows, making it easier for fish to swim past obstacles and reach their spawning sites. Efforts are also underway to restore side channels and backwaters, improving safe nursery habitats. Conservationists stress that saving these fish isn't just about one species, it's about protecting the whole river ecosystem, since these fish reflect the health of the environment. The new migration data will help shape future policies, guide restoration funding, and support endangered species recovery plans. Floods to rebuild. In addition, the USGS has run high-flow tests by releasing large amounts of water from Glen Canyon Dam to rebuild sandbars and beaches along the river. These experiments are also being monitored by drone-based thermal imaging and LiDAR to measure changes in riverbank shape, sand migration, and plant regrowth, data that feeds into adaptive management plans. These carefully planned floods are meant to copy the river's natural spring flow, which used to build and refresh sandbars after snow melted. Since Glen Canyon Dam was built in the 1960s, this natural flooding has mostly stopped, causing sandbars to wash away and riverside habitats to suffer. These sandbars are vital not only for nature, but also because they serve as nesting spots for endangered birds like the southwestern willow flycatcher and yellow-billed cuckoo. They provide cool shelter and feeding areas for native fish and help keep riverbanks stable, reducing erosion. Sandbars also protect important archaeological sites, like ancient rock carvings, pottery pieces, and old settlement remains that often lie buried near these banks. Without regular sediment deposits, these cultural treasures are more exposed to damage from weather and human activity. The experimental floods are part of a program at Glen Canyon Dam that brings together scientists, water managers, tribes, environmental groups, and recreation users. Flood releases happen after enough sand has been washed down from tributaries such as the Pariah River, especially after heavy monsoon rains. Once enough sediment builds up, controlled floods are triggered to reshape the sand and form new beaches. Early results from the latest flood test in 2023 showed big improvements. Sandbars grew in key areas of the Grand Canyon, habitats became more diverse, and native fish made more use of quieter backwater spots. Long-term studies will track how long these new river features last and how they react to future floods, whether natural or controlled. Managing this means finding a careful balance between keeping hydroelectric power reliable and bringing back the river's natural flow, showing how tricky it is to care for an environment shaped by heavy human engineering. Racing the clock. Right now, scientists from around the world are rushing to study the area. Plans for deep drilling are underway. The Department of the Interior is updating safety maps for Lake Mead and Hoover Dam, and satellites are being watched constantly for signs of ground movement. At the same time, water managers face tough decisions. Should they try to access the ancient underground water? Should they strengthen structures near the hidden fault line? Or should they wait for more information? Time is running out. Climate change is speeding up, water levels keep falling, and new evidence reveals that the land under the river is far more unstable, active, and mysterious than anyone had thought before. The urgency has led to the formation of a multi-agency task force that includes FEMA, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and indigenous water councils to coordinate emergency preparedness and long-term resilience planning. So, what can we take away from all this? The Colorado River, long believed to be fully explored, is still full of mysteries beneath its surface. Hidden deep below lies a complex puzzle that might hold the key to solving water shortages in the West, or alternatively, bring new challenges we're not ready for. This story goes beyond just science. It touches on survival, the safety of our communities, the health of ecosystems, and the legacy we leave for future generations who rely on this river every day. What other secrets might the earth be hiding? And how will nature surprise us next? Stay curious, stay alert, and always keep questioning what you think you know.